Hello, I'm Brandon Wentworth, and this is my first devlog for this FMP. This week has been experimentation, and I've been going through 5 different techniques. First of all, the one that caused me the most issues was wall running. I developed from various methods, such as this one, where I didn't get very far, but you can see how I had the X-ray. Wait a second, my alarm's going off. Where I've had the line detect where the wall is. However, after looking further through the video, it turned out that this was not really what I was after, so I chose not to persevere with this. Moving on, you can see the final design of the wall running that I chose, and this is the main issue that kept me stumped for a number of hours. As you can see, it didn't stop the wall run. You simply carry on into the void. After this, I was able to find that indeed was the issue, and now it works. Moving on to my second experimentation was the kind of overall theme of my space game. I started with making different corridors as a general kind of design, more rounded design versus a more angular design. You can see I've got my full process here, ending with a very simple tunnel type design, where you could kind of see, of course there isn't any much detail here, but it just is a proof of concept using more rounded edges and things like that. Going for that, actually just saw for a glimpse there, a more alien style. Whereas the design that I'm choosing to stick with is this more angular design, where it's much easier to replicate and is easier to apply to the rest of the game, with areas such as main rooms and halls will be much easier to keep on this design than the rounded one. This, as you can see later on, I've added extra cylinders to add more effect, and I can have like light bars and things like that to spice things up. But as a general kind of theme, this was what I was to test out. Moving on, I have the hatch, where, as you can see here, it's my chosen hatch, where it's a simple rotating mechanic. So it's mainly, the main reason for this was that even though it looks less interesting than the sliding hatch, when it's open, it's really easy to see that it's open and to see where the hatch is after you press a button. You won't necessarily know that it's a hatch. Whereas if you look at the sliding hatch, it's in the floor perfectly. You won't be able to see it at all. It's the same with the other thing. But when you've opened it, as you see here, it opens side to side. It's just a hole. That's much harder to see. So I chose not to go with this. Next is the cryopods. Here is the first cylindrical pod I made before doing one of the main bits of research, other than the wall running, that I did for this, was that pipe. This is what it looked like before. Same shell and everything, but the pipe looked awful. So I simply looked for how to do it properly. So I ended up with this, using the bridge tool to do it properly, effectively, to get a much nicer looking pipe and have a more complete looking cryopod. This was in comparison to the square design with the 4 pipes, which use the same system at sides. But I, in the end, have decided to go with this cylindrical design, as I feel it looks more like what I'd imagine if I think of a cryopod, and just looks better made. I prefer the design at the end of the day. Moving on, we've got the reactors. This is my first method, having a sphere and putting some parts into it. I think this looks frankly awful. It's okay, and when you put all the materials on it to make it all glow and everything and polish it out, it would look better. But when you compare it to hexagonal design, where I used the ball tool and simply extruded various faces, it looks far better. And if you imagine this has got emission on it, so it glows, then I think this could look really good. That's it for my experimentation this week. That was the entire week of experimentation. Next week, I'll be moving on to the proper full production with my alpha, and I'll be working towards making it a block-out version of my game without all the main assets, but kind of getting the rough gist and get all the mechanics working. And that's it. That's the end of my devlog.